go! Video games.
What up, dudes, and welcome back to the YoVideogames podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Andrew.
And once again, thank you to all our generous patrons who kept us going for over 350 episodes.
Yeah, if you're interested in becoming a patron at any level, please check out patreon.com/YoVideogamespodcast. Dude of the week is Mashari. Thank you, Mashari.
Thank you, Mashari.
And, of course, we have a sponsor to thank, Manscaped. And they sent me one of their beard hedgers, and it has quickly become my favorite product by them. Mostly because, I mean, right now I don't have a beard. If you listen to the last episode, you know that one of my dogs.
That product looks like it worked real well on you because it's the face. The face
dude,
layer is gone.
It's great because I don't think I would use this without the guard because it's pretty friggin' sharp. Like if you just drag this across your skin, like I don't know. But with the guard, it's great, and it goes down to like a 0.5 millimeter. So you're basically getting like almost stubble at that point, and it matches with how low I cut the top of my hair because I'm bald by choice, definitely. But that's actually pretty hard to do. That's the main thing that I love this thing for is that
God's choice.
the adjustable guard. It's got like a wheel here that lets you adjust.
Yeah, that's very cool. So you don't have to like constantly like put new like pieces on top of it and stuff.
Yeah, it's super slick, and it lets you really get like a fade between your sideburns and top of your head. Real important for when you are follically challenged and you need to fade into a very tight trim up top, you know, for fashion reasons. But genuinely love the thing. You should check it out. It's got like a whole kit. The kit comes with scissors, comb. I mean, really, it's like the entire beard care kit. You know, they've been taking care of your balls for a while, and now they're taking care of your face. They're really expanding on every kit. They've got the performance package with the lawnmower. They've got the ultra smooth package if you like to get down there and, you know, you don't want to wax it, obviously. But you want to get it ultra smooth. You don't want to have any hair down there.
There is the ultra smooth for those who want it to be, you know, completely, you know.
Yeah, you want it to be slick.
But even, you know, whether you want to go all the way down or even just a little bit, you know, a little less shrubbery can make your tree stand out a whole lot taller.
Yeah, I'm not a doctor, but to me, it always seems bigger. Anyway, they also have the Boxers 2.0, which I'm wearing right now, as it turns out. They are super comfortable. You can also exercise in them, although I tend not to. I tend to sleep in them. They're my sleeping boxers. They're super comfortable. But if you're interested in checking out any of these products, please head over to manscaped.com. Use our code YoVG, all caps, for 20% off and free shipping worldwide. That's manscaped.com. Our code is YoVG, all caps, for 20% off and free shipping worldwide. Your balls will thank you. And now so will your face.
Yep, crown to crotch.
Crown to crotch. Chin to tip.
Chin to chode.
Chin to chode. I just don't want to assume people got chodes out there, you know? I don't want to, like, you know, give you the 1-2 punch. I just... Chin... Yeah, I don't know. But it's great. Speaking of great, they canceled E3. We knew it was coming because everybody was backing out of it. It is still sort of a bummer. We've been talking about this for fucking years.
Yeah.
And so none of this is that surprising. I still got to say it's a bummer. It's
a bummer, I feel, because I feel like they finally figured out what to do. Like they finally got it right. And then it doesn't happen. But it's too late. It's dead now.
Yeah, because ESA didn't bring in, you know, the Reed Pop guys until basically they were drowning.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I actually was genuinely excited for the setup this year to media and industry to open to everyone. But yeah, I think the death knell, I think we all knew as soon as any of the majors dropped out that it was like, oop, I don't, one, there's no way it's worth it to go if you're if you're the only major person going, maybe it's worth it because then you get all attention from the entire event.
Yeah, but at that point, how many people are showing up?
Right. And then at that point, it's like you could just do your own event probably for a fraction of the pain in the ass that
I'm not the only one to say this, and a lot of people agree with it. Like the thing that really killed E3 happened 10 years ago, and not the thing, but one of the big things. It's Nintendo. Nintendo killed E3 when they created their Nintendo Directs. That was the snowball at the top of the mountain that started rolling, and now everyone does their own Directs. And now everyone's kind of realized we don't need to spend a lot of money at E3 on a booth when we could just fucking put out like a Direct online. We can even hype up the Directs. We give people a few days notice, get everyone all hyped up. Everyone watches it. Everyone talks about it.
Well, I mean, I think an interesting part of that is that Nintendo was the last main publisher that was going to E3.
Which is hilarious because like Nintendo's kind of the one who got the ball rolling because they went to E3 because everyone was like, Nintendo's dropping out of E3. Remember when people were saying Nintendo's leaving E3? And it wasn't they were leaving E3. It was just the fact that they didn't have a press conference any year because they just had they just did a digital one and they still had a booth.
Right.
They still had a booth. They still live streamed from the event. Like they still were doing that, like which was kind of a funny thing because people kept saying they're not at E3. Yes, they are. So even though they're literally probably the biggest reason for E3 kind of eventually just going away, they also are the last first party to leave. Microsoft and Sony left long before Nintendo. Like Nintendo was there till the end in 2019. So
yeah, and I mean, like Microsoft left pretty much as soon as they were able to buy that theater.
Yeah,
they were still there technically because they were right across the street, but ESA wasn't getting anything from them, and it didn't affect Microsoft negatively at all.
Yeah.
Like, and the thing is ESA, if you haven't been to E3 or especially if you haven't been to LA Live, the ESA would go out of their way to try and separate the two events to make you know for sure that you are leaving E3 if you cross that little street over to the Microsoft Theater.
Yeah.
It never worked because the crowd became so big and all the food is next to the Microsoft Theater.
Yeah.
So it intermingled. And so basically just seemed like it was E3 anyway over there. And Microsoft, of course, didn't do anything to dissuade you from that idea. Why would they? Yeah. So I think that, yeah, Nintendo getting the ball rolling was the death knell. I think maybe even further than that, or re-ringing that bell, is Microsoft proving that there was no reason for them to pay ESA for it.
Yeah.
Like, Sony was still going, and they were still doing some pretty kick-ass booths, but I don't know.
And then they quit. They quit before 2019. They quit in 2018 or something.
Because there were 2 years in a row where they basically just had the same shit twice. Right? Yeah. It was like Spider-Man and Death Stranding 2 years in a row. That was all they had. And then it was like, fuck it, we'll just do our own event. And then they killed their own event because they started just doing the live streamed stuff
they just did what Nintendo did in the State of Play.
Right. So. I do think that's interesting. I also think, speaking of things Nintendo started, Nintendo is doing their, like, with the Mario movie and the Mario Land. Do you think Sony's been doing movies? Do you think Sony's going to try and get into the Land game?
What do they have?
I don't know. Uncharted Land? Like is or God of War Land?
Well, here's the thing, because Nintendo didn't do their own theme park. They partnered with Universal because Universal Studios is the direct competitor to do, because getting this is a fun subject for me, but getting into the theme park land wars, there's two types of theme parks. There's coasters, and then there's theme parks. Like, I mean, they're both theme parks, but one is about theming and one is about coasters. So it's like thrill rides versus atmosphere, right?
Right.
And Disneyland obviously is like the king of atmosphere or whatever, but Universal really kind of really started to compete really heavily in the early 2000s with Harry Potter, with Hogsmeade. which
Well,
was
Hogsmeade was kind of the first part of
it was
Universal.
basic. Yeah, it kicked off basically a revolution in theme parks where it's like fully committing hardcore to a land to a degree at which none of them had ever done before. Not any of the Disneylands had committed as hard to the theming and the atmosphere as Hogsmeade did. And so Disney was, oh shit. So they were like, okay, but now we have to compete, because like they were always better themed than everyone else. Of course, they're always great themed, but like Hogsmeade was like almost like a whole nother level. Like, because, and one big reason for that was it was in Hogsmeade, you can't buy products that have Universal logos on them. You know, you can't buy things that have like basics. Everything has to be specifically tailored to that land. You can't buy you cannot buy Pepsi or Coke product. I think it's Pepsi products in Universal Parks, whatever. You can't buy generic soda brands inside Hogsmeade. You can't buy branded food, outside branded food in Hogsmeade.
Right. They make a special branded drink.
Yeah, like, they make butterbeer, they make gilly water, they sell pumpkin juice. All the food is like British pub food in there.
Yeah.
You don't buy things with like a minion in a wizard robe on it, right? No, you buy an actual goddamn robe or a sweater that was knitted in Scotland, kind of thing.
Right.
And even Disney won't commit that hard, because even in fucking Star Wars, then they have Coke themed Star Wars bottles. They look like thermal detonators, but they still have they like Coca-Cola written in Star Wars, whatever that fucking language is. You get on me on that one, nerds, whatever. I don't care.
Coruscanti.
But like, yeah, like at Disneyland, you know, you go to Tomorrowland and there's Mickey Mouse in an astronaut suit. You go to Adventureland, there's Mickey Mouse in a safari hat. You go to Frontierland, there's Mickey Mouse in a cowboy hat on all the shirts and all the pins and all the labels. Like they let you know you're in Disneyland still. You're still wearing Mickey Mouse is still on stuff. So Universal kind of kicked that off, right, and made this like, we're committing hard to our theme. And so Nintendo joins with Universal, even though they were in a fucking legal fight with them in the 80s, which is hilarious, but whatever. So they're like a direct competitor and a good competitor now. So they go in and really it's kind of like Nintendo's loss, right? But like, here's the thing. Nintendo has something that Sony kind of still doesn't have. You can make the argument they do, but like they don't expand on it as much as Nintendo does. And that is, what is Nintendo's most popular brand? What's their two most popular brands? Mario and Pokemon. That's all ages.
Is that their two most? I guess, yeah, Zelda would be their third.
Oh yeah, Zelda wasn't mass market friendly until Breath of the Wild.
Right.
So you have Mario and you have Pokemon, and those are mass audience. And then they have a ton of other all ages access. Sony has Ratchet and Clank. Sony has Sly Cooper. Sony has Jack and Dexter. Well, Jack and Dexter went on mature or whatever, but they have Ratchet and Clank. They have Ratchet and Clank. They have Sackboy. But they are not Mario. They are not Pikachu. They're not Pokemon, right? They're not that level.
That's true.
You could argue the quality of those games all day long, but at the end of the day, everyone knows what a fucking Mario is. Everyone knows what Pokemon is.
Everyone knows what a fucking Mario is.
So this is what makes it difficult for Sony to be like, okay, well, does Sony get into the theme park game? And I'm like,
and which theme park would be like, yeah.
I mean, Nintendo would be pretty miffed if Sony, like, they started to say, we're going to make an Uncharted land. We're going to make PlayStation land. And it'll be right next to Nintendo land. Nintendo will be like, we're done. Bye.
Well, could you imagine like a Six Flags doing an Uncharted ride?
Right. So your options are basically, you got to go to either Cedar Fair or Six Flags. Neither of which is, I mean, Cedar Fair doing well. I think Six Flags is constantly on the like verge of bankruptcy, from what I understand.
They have a hard time at Six Flags for sure.
Yeah. So, but those are coaster parks, and maybe that's more Sony's fare, right? Maybe Sony can get like, I think a big, those like inner tube, or like you're sitting in a big circle and you're going down a roaring rapids.
Yeah.
That's perfect for a fucking Uncharted ride, isn't it? Like,
no, fuck anyways. That. Uncharted ride has to be an Indiana Jones rip.
That could work too.
You're in like an old Land Rover Defender, fucking going.
That would be pretty cool. But the thing is, Six Flags doesn't really do that. Neither does Cedar Fair really. much because again they don't have an Imagineer like Disneyland has the Imagineers and the Universal Creative Media Group or whatever. They don't really have a department that does this stuff.
That's why they're on the verge of bankruptcy all the fucking time.
Well, it's because they hire like a Western, whether North American or European coaster manufacturers to come up with new coasters for them. The coasters have mild theming at best. Right.
Yeah.
It's all about like the thrill of it because that's their brand. Their brand is thrill seekers, not theme seekers.
But nobody at fucking Six Flags looks over at what the other two are doing and are like, oh, yeah. I guess that's like why they're
every
just
so
dominating.
often Six Flags kind of does because then they basically like
they have a very
they have a really like we have a renewed interest in DC and like every so often they try to like redo stuff to like fix up their DC stuff, but it's never on the level of what Universal and Disney does, and that's kind of why it always kind of like falls flat.
Yeah, they always miss the mark just barely. But what if they could get something going with Sony? Now look,
the problem with Uncharted being an Indiana Jones rip is that we already have Indiana Jones. Like it'll just come off. It'll just come off as great value Indiana Jones.
If they did it well, though, that's okay. That's all Uncharted was, sort of. It was, and it's great.
Okay, but what about a God of War like log flume ride? Right?
Amazing. I'm in. What about like a Mortal Kombat, like a Netherworld land or whatever? Like it's just all
that's WB, and they technically already have a deal with Six Flags. So.
I know that's what I'm saying. Is like you do instead of Gotham City, which Gotham City was cool when I was a kid, and if they first built it,
yeah.
But now it's sort of like
because they repainted it and made it like generic DC land,
right? And then there's like the Ninja Land, which was very fucking cool when I was a kid, but they've now left it to kind of but you get like a Netherrealm. I mean, I guess you just call it Netherrealm. You can't call it Netherrealm Land. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, you call it the Netherrealm.
Yeah, you get like another, and then you have a bunch of thrill rides themed around specific characters. You have your reptile ride or whatever, or like a super fast ride can be named after Raiden.
Yeah,
it just seems like the idea writes itself. like you could just do that. Also, what if
that Superman Escape was rebranded to a Mortal Kombat ride?
Hell,
and it's like you're getting blasted, you're riding the lightning out or whatever, right? And when the card gets to the top of that big like hill, or not hill, but the big tower, like it just lights up the Mortal Kombat logo. So like at night, every time the thing blasts up to the top, you just see the Mortal Kombat dragon like like light up.
Hell yes,
people fly up to it and stuff.
You bring back the stunt shows, and instead of some tired ass Batman stuff, granted you could do some newer Batman stuff, but instead of the tired old Batman stuff they were doing, you could have Mortal Kombat martial arts shows.
Yeah,
like
this is all great
style shit.
This is all great stuff, Andrew. But Warner Brothers is in kind of a weird place right now.
Yes, they are.
I don't think they're in the hey, let's spend money and do cool stuff mode. I think they're still in sort of like cut out, like let's cancel and cut out and remove as much as we can to save some more money, kind of.
I mean, oddly enough, leading into that as a side topic, NetherRealm still hasn't said anything about their next game.
Nope.
And we're getting pretty close to the time where
Vasilev is the one who said it in an investor's call.
So like they're just gonna wait until like a month out, and they're all like, "By the way, here you go."
Yeah, I wonder. No one really knows because I mean, E3 might have been a great time to show off and show a playable build in the next Mortal Kombat. But I guess they could still announce it. They could announce it themselves. It could be its Keighley Summer Game Suck. Whatever. Like it could just
Game Suck.
I don't know. Like here's the thing, and people are. I'm bitter, but it's like. Name me 3 games that were shown off at the last Summer Games Fest. And most people in our audience will say like Elden Ring, Street Fighter 6, which is the big first and last things.
But those aren't the things that like the things I remember for those games aren't from Summer's Games Fest. Like,
right. No, yeah, and
so-
even okay, okay, that's hard one. Name me 3 games that had trailers. Name me 3 games that were revealed at Summer's Games Fest. Name me 3 games that were revealed ever at a Summer's Games Fest.
Oof. I mean, but that could change this year. Keeley's the only game in town.
He's been the only game in town technically for like the last 2+ years or whatever. So
that's his move. You know, he likes to hang around the bar until he's the last guy left.
And the thing is, there's plenty, and like there are a lot of games that did get revealed. And if we actually sit down, put our heads together, we'll come up with a lot of games, like that weird isometric aliens game that was announced at those last Summer's Games suck.
Oh yeah,
and we only remember it because it was such a disappointment. We thought it was going to be fucking Fireteam DLC or something. Nope, isometric. You know, just
yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, exactly. There was like some game called like Remote or something, and I don't know. There's a lot of there's a lot of space games. Even Keeley joked about there being a lot of space games.
Yeah, so I guess Summer Games Fest is not going to be the E3 replacement. But
see, here's the thing, and this is going to sound like sour grapes. The problem with Summer's Games Fest and his little like hands-on exhibition thing he does for like very select people, it's a flex. It's really what it should be called. It should be called Summer Game Flex rather than like Summer Games. Like he's not trying to replace E3, and I can understand why, but like his event, if you will, you know, his stage show, cool, great, that's awesome. But like his little event he did, you know, like last year, like a little 2-day thing he had with you know, playable builds of Street Fighter 6 and Sonic Frontiers or whatever. That's just kind of him flexing because it is a super exclusive, small, you know, little event that only, you know, they very much control who goes kind of thing. That's not a good replacement for E3. That's not a good, and people say like, well, who cares? It's like, well, here's why you care, because even if you couldn't go to E3, knowing that there were thousands and thousands of other people going to E3 and playing these demos and giving their impressions, that's all gone, because now you have basically like 20, 40 different outlets or you know, influencers giving their impressions versus thousands or hundreds of them.
Right.
So that's kind of the problem there. And with such a controlled, you know, controlled environment, they can literally just invite specific people who they want. Like, give me, you know, because, and I'm going to be real with y'all, there's a lot of bootlickers out there in the influencer sphere. Even though despite the fact that that influencers are not necessarily part of a larger media conglomerate, but there's a lot of bootlickers out there, and they can just be like, this guy fucking loves everything we do. Invite him. I want him there to play our game, to talk, you know, how great it is, because no matter what we fucking do, they're going to love it. Yeah.
When you build your whole brand on, I love so-and-so corporation and or company. Yeah, I mean, you're probably a shoo-in for getting invited to all their secret stuff, because you're just out there gobbling down.
Like there's just some people where it's just kind of like, would not trust it. Like I wouldn't trust my own opinion on a monolithsoft game.
Yeah, that's fair. I also I'm
probably way too biased. I'm probably way too biased on that company to give a fair assessment. Which is like, I'm not saying don't invite me to the thing. Absolutely invite me, because I need to play it. But invite everyone. Invite all the fucking haters as well. Like,
but that's the thing that I constantly say is like, find a critic that you like their taste in things, like, or that you agree with their taste, that you seem to have similar tastes, because then you can trust what they're saying. Don't find the guy that just tells you the thing you like, you know, like you already know that, you know, you like the thing. You don't need somebody to just be like, I like it too. Okay. Great.
Yeah, and to be fair, I'm harsh on monolithsoft. I think more than half of their library is not great. Like their wholly developed games, I would say more than half of their fully developed monolithsoft games are not good. They only got good about 10, 12, 13 years ago.
That's like, still a pretty good track run.
Prior to that, you know, their first half of their existence was pretty rough, pretty bad. And then they got good in the second half.
What's an example of one of their rough games?
Xenosaga.
Oh, okay, well, fair, I guess. Yeah,
I
walked into that. Yeah,
Project Cross Zone. Oh my god, Project Cross. What a shitty fucking game.
People
love that too.
you do Monolithsoft Mondays. Monolithsoft.
Yeah.
Monolith Mondays. feels easier to say. You do
Say it
that
way.
and it's like, how often do you go back to their trash games, or do you always just do like a Xeno game?
No, I do. I've played all their trash games too.
Oh, that's so bad. I'm sorry.
It's been about a year though, because we had the Xenoblade 3 announcement, and then I did the full retrospective to play Blades leading up to 3, and then I've just been mostly playing 3 since then. But like before the announcement of 3, I was going through their entire library, and that could get rough.
Wow.
That could get rough. There's a couple hidden gems, but like, oof.
Well, going back to NetherRealm not announcing anything, I wonder. I mean, they're not going to do it at Summer Games Fest. Then
They could. They announced Mortal Kombat 11 at TG or game advertisements. So
okay, well then maybe that's when they're going to wait for. But that still seems like it's only a couple of months away from release.
it probably is.
Summer's games
they'll probably tease it. Look. Here's a real scenario.
And then it'll come out in September.
They tease it in June. They have a full game day reveal like they did with 11. They have a full dedicated press day in July, and then it comes out in October.
That would be a quick turnaround. Doesn't it seem like that's what's happening though? Like even with RE4 Remake, which we both loved, like it seems like they announced it. We all knew probably that was going to be the one, you know, like it's hard to like,
yeah,
it's hard to imagine they weren't going to do it. But at the same time, like it seems like they announced it and then it was only a few months later that it really came out. Like
no, because I want to say they announced it last summer, like June or July. I think it was in a Sony thing. They announced it. It was a short trailer, and then they went fucking dark.
Silent. Yeah.
Until January.
Maybe that's why it feels like they didn't say anything until January officially. But
which I guess I prefer that, where it's like, hey, this game's happening, and then it just goes dark. Although I'd appreciate it more if they were like, we're going dark for a while.
Well, NetherRealm's been dark for 4 years.
Yes.
Like, I guess we should really fucking appreciate that.
Well, here's a funny thing, because I'm a backer on a game called Sea of Stars, right? And it's an RPG, and they had their sort of Kickstarter, and they had their sort of like, you know, backer build that was playable that I got to play. And they had a lot of like stuff. And then at some point, I think last year it was or something, they said, guys, we got to go dark for a while. We can't, you know, the Kickstarter was successful. You know, they'd had some updates, and like, we got to go dark for a while. And they did. And then, so they went dark for a while, like, and it wasn't that long. It was like 6 months or something. 6, probably no more than 9. And then they came back, and then there was a trailer at like in Nintendo Indie Direct, and then there was more updates. Now there's constant updates. Then there was a public demo available now. So, and then it has a release date in August. So it's kind of like they did the right thing, where they're like, okay, here's the game, here's the announcement, here's some information, and then hey, we gotta go dark for a while, because it's like a 16-person studio or something. And they go dark for a while, where like you don't hear anything. They're just like, look, we gotta like put our heads down and like finish, like, you know, go really hard into the game. And then when it's close to being done, then we'll start talking about it more.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's when there's a large studio, you probably don't need to go dark. You probably have somebody on hand to like, you know, do your marketing, or you hire a firm more than likely. But
you know, I mean, that's the thing too, because, you know, like if I fantasize about like, what's your dream job, and be like, well, what if you worked for Monolithsoft? What if I was their PR guy? Like, I'm the PR guy. My job is not to do anything on game development. My job is just to sort of just keep public consciousness, or, you know, awareness of their product. I would have like weekly developer things where I'm like, look, let me just talk to the staff. We'll just do stuff. We'll just kind of like inform you, you know, about like really mild, like really vague things about the game. And maybe I'll just publish a screenshot or 2 every week.
I'm going to stop you right there, because I've worked with a lot of PR people. You'd fucking hate that job.
I probably would.
You would despise that job. Like I've known a few people, great people, worked in PR. You'd hate that job. Like that would not be a dream job. It'd be a dream job for a week until you realize what your job is. Because more than talking to regular people or getting people hyped up for it, your job is to talk to I don't know, the guy at LA Times who's never played a video game ever and try to convince him why he should give a shit, and thus the readers of LA Times. You got to talk to the fucking legacy dude at some major corporation needs 150 words about the game so that he can tell, you know, blah 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 investment people about, like, 99% of your job has nothing to do with building hype for the people who actually want to know about it. It's about talking to people who don't give a shit at all.
But there are people like that, though. There's social media managers now.
That's true. Yeah, no, that's fair. They are usually interns, and if they do get paid, they get paid minimum wage.
Yeah.
So it had better be your fucking dream job then.
Yeah.
You know, to be fair, there are people who work in PR. One of my good friends worked in PR for a while, hated it, then ended up at a like nonprofit where they were doing like work that she actually believed in, and now she loves PR. Like, she loves her PR job because it, even though, yes, she's talking to people, you know, 90% of the time that, you know, aren't even the people she wants to care about this thing, she cares about the thing that she's selling these people on. Or so I'm not trying to shit on PR in general. I'm just saying, like, I genuinely think you would not like that job.
Probably
like
not.
Being a community manager, I feel like you would like. Like, if you were a community manager for Monolith, you might like that, because then you're talking directly to people who care, who are invested.
Yeah.
The downside of that is basically what's happening to, you know, voice actors lately. Lily Gao being an example, is you're interfacing with people who care so much that they will harass you over it.
Yeah, I think there needs to be harsher. I mean, my thing is that, like, you can't do it as a company person, but I'm like, in the case of Resident Evil, the Resident Evil community needs to do a better job of just like completely silencing just any of these voices of dissent or whatever.
I don't know. You can't do that. And then also, social media is just a shithole.
Yes, you can. Deplatforming works.
I mean, yeah, but like you can't silence all dissent, because
no, I know that. I'm not saying you need to get it to go away. I mean, I'm saying these people should not be, because there's a lot of RE fan sites. You know, there's like Rely on Horror and RE whatever fuck.net or whatever. And you know, problem is like, even those people, I don't want to name call them, but like even some of those people get into their heated emotional states too.
Right.
Yeah, so it's kind of like the Resident Evil 4 thing was like, Ada sucked in that game, and I don't think that I don't think what happened can change. You know, like a lot of people are like, she did great. No, like, not really. Like, and I don't know if it's her fault. It could be, or it could be the voice director's fault. Like,
well, that's also like, there could be a million. It could be the sound editor, the person who just.
But like, the whole point though is that, like, at no fucking point, in no fucking reason or universe should you ever fucking go and harass the person, you know, who did that. Like, I'm saying right now, like, I thought Ada was not good in Remake. I did not tell the actress that. I would not ever tell the actress that. I do not ever need to tell the actress that. There's no constructive criticism. They're an actress. They know exactly if they did a good or bad job or whatever. They don't need to hear it from any fucking other person other than maybe the director. Right. You know, that's the only person who needs to tell them whether or not, you know, their performance is good or bad. Because I guarantee every actor is their harshest critic anyways. So except maybe for Steven. Except Steven Seagal. He doesn't think he thinks he's the greatest thing ever. But like,
he thinks he's fucking genius. Have you seen? Well, I don't want to go down that. Anyway, if I was going to criticize, you know, any one person, and maybe it's just because I haven't seen, like, the director, the voice director should be taking these hits for their actor. In my opinion, that's part of a director's job. The director's job is to shield an actor.
And I said in my review, I don't know. Like, look, Ada sounds like she's bored to be in the sound booth. Like, she would rather be anywhere else than recording lines for this game.
It sounds like a cold read. It does sound like a cold read.
And again, at the end of the day, I think more responsibility for that does fall on the voice director, because he's the one who's putting all the voice, because nobody records ensemble anymore. So he's the one putting all the voice lines together, and the sound mixer and the sound editor, and they're the ones hearing all, putting the cutscenes together and going like, yeah, this is fine. Like it, like nobody at any point said like, this person's just kind of cold reading their lines. Everyone else is giving a performance. This person's just reading the script. So I'm like, again, like that, I kind of put more blame on the director there. But if that's what the director wanted, it's also kind of like, why? Again, so.
Well, I do think that one of the weird ways that this has swung is now you have people making it their entire personality to say like, oh no, actually it's a super good performance and you're a cretin if you don't, if you don't see the skill. I think that is equally silly. But one person was, I think it was like Skill Up was like, oh, it is actually super nuanced and she's pulled back and reserved. And I would love that. I would love that if that is what was happening. That didn't land. If that was the intention, that's a cool intention. And nuanced acting of any sort is hard no matter what. If we all want to like gather around and laugh at someone acting, watch anything I've acted in. Like, absolutely make fun of me. I know acting's hard. I know acting is vulnerable. I'm not trying to, make fun of the voice actor. I'm just saying it didn't land on this.
I mean, even if you want to go down that route of like, oh, was it a nuanced performance or what? Like, why is one person trying to do this very cold, nuanced, performance in a sea of everyone else who's still doing wacky cartoon, like not full-blown cartoon characters like in the original game, but like everyone's still a character.
Yeah.
Everyone's still a character actor or whatever in the rest of the game. Leon's smarmy still. Salazar is super creepy. Sadler is like, he comes off as like this weird creepy Southern preacher now. Like even Krauser's raspy, you can't save her. Like everyone's doing all these, big character actor performances, and then but this person's going for nuance. Why is one person going for nuance in this wacky game about giant salamanders, and giants and minecart rides? And come on, like, no,
I'm just saying, like, if that was the intention, it didn't land. It is,
and okay, I'm saying if that was the intention, that was stupid. Like, it's not the game for that.
But I do think it's insane. The internet is insane because you will have people make their entire personality this right now. This
and here's the thing too. I say if that was the intention and that's a stupid intention, I don't know who the voice director is, and I don't fucking care.
God, can you imagine like how
all I had to say was all the thing is at the end of the day is like I didn't like it. Oh, well, don't you want to know who? No, I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
They're well aware at this point whether or not, it worked or didn't. And like, it didn't ruin the game or anything. It wasn't whatever. Like,
so would you like to be the PR person that has to interface with all those,
just
chuckle
fucking
fucks?
just quietly ban all the accounts.
That's gonna be a long list.
Whatever. It's fine. Just quietly ban them.
I think that's something that's strange about like video game communities in general. And actually, it's sort of tying this back into the E3 talk. E3 was odd because media professionals, a lot of gaming media, proper, are those people. Like they got into gaming media, a lot of them, because they were obsessive with this niche for the longest time.
Well, I think having passion is a good thing, and I think wanting the best out of the product you love is great. But you never ever you have no reason to ever harass an actor for doing their job ever for any there is no fucking reason to ever harass these people if you didn't like the performance. Like, I say edgy, nasty things about devs all the time, when a game doesn't function or glitches out or, something stupid or whatever. But it's like, I'm not going to, I would never fucking like go and harass a developer. I would never like, oh no, where's their fucking Twitter? Where's their LinkedIn? I need to no, like
and single out one person too.
Jesus fucking Christ. Like
I don't know. That is weird. And it's not the thing that I was getting
like
at though.
Seek fucking help.
Right. Touch grass. It's not unique to Resident Evil. Resident Evil does seem to have a lot of super passionate people, and I think that's cool. We made a short film, or we did a web series about it. Obviously we're passionate about it too, but there does seem to be a lot of people obsessive about it, and that's got to be difficult. And honestly, there's bigger accounts like the Residents of Evil guys that are more steeped in that culture, that probably deal with it on a much more regular basis. But even on those little properties that we've made about the games and stuff, there was stuff we had to deal with where people would like leave these huge long ranting comments about a character not being exactly how they are in the games if we had them in the web series. And like, I don't know if Mike would just like delete that comment because it's fucking rambling and insane, but that happened. And then being an actor and not having any buffer between you and that times 1,000 because you didn't do their favorite character the way they wanted you to is rough as hell.
Yeah, and I mean, like Ada's probably one of the characters that had like the longest running voice for Sally Cowhill. Her voice for probably the longest time of any character in the franchise. But Resident Evil characters change actors like every fucking game, it feels like, practically. Like,
right. Well, like, voice acting in general is it's a tough gig to have any consistency in.
Yeah, Leon's had 3-4 different voices at this point. Like
Wesker's on 4.
Wesker's on 4 now. Like, whatever. Like 4 or 5. There was original, remake, Code Veronica 4, original, Code Veronica 4, 5, and now 4 remake. So he's on his 5th Wesker. We're on the 5th Wesker. So it's like they fucking change hands all the fucking time. So
that's
it's like, oh, I don't like this person. Well, chances are they won't even be back in the next game.
Yeah. Yeah. Although since we were sort of on the Resident Evil 4 remake, I know you did like a big review and stuff for it. Did you like the changes overall? Did you think the changes were pointless? Did you like
there were
I
changes,
just finished it.
There were changes I really liked. There were changes I didn't really agree with. I really liked pairing with a knife. I feel like cool. That was an overall very positive change. I liked that mechanic. Love that mechanic, actually. I liked the added lore bits. I liked it. I generally enjoyed. I like some of the flavor stuff, like the 2 hikers thing.
Yeah.
Very good. I really liked that stuff. Some of the new areas I actually kind of liked. Like I liked how there was like I did not like the fact that they made the getting the church key like this a fetch quest, like a longer fetch quest. I didn't really like that, but I did like how there was a whole thing where now it's like you're going through like a super dark cave, fighting people like super in the dark, and then using the cave paintings to unlock. I kind of like that stuff. Like, so I like some of the additional areas. I think Ashley's area is an improvement.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
I think some of the boss fights are better. Like the Salazar fight is like a better fight. The problem is the aiming is still a little too slow in the game, no matter what you do. So I think the design of the Salazar fight is way cooler. The execution is a little rough, just due to the nature of the fact of like the aiming being what it is in that game.
That and the movement. I know that the movement
aiming, he's just a little more slower. He's heavier.
Yeah, I died once in the Salazar fight because I got stuck on the corner of one of the stairways trying to like get out of the way of his like lunge attack. And he caught me and chopped me in half. Yeah, I got bit right in half. And I was just like, it's always like a small detail and it makes you the angriest. It's like that. And like one time I was in a fight with a bunch of those like spider things, and Ashley just like ducked down directly in front of me and wouldn't move. and we're just getting swarmed by these things.
Yeah,
That's why I ended up shooting her.
I think Ashley might be dumber in this game than the original game.
I think in the original game, she just kind of like hugs you more.
She hugs you. She auto ducks, and you can. There's way more places to hide her in the original game. This one they tried to do. Oh, like she'll back off. She'll get close. I'm like, even when she gets close, she like when you're running, she is like so much slower than you.
Way behind you, yeah. The first time that I died in the game or failed in the game was in that like catapult section because she would get like she would be way behind me even when I had her set to be like right next to me.
Yep.
She'd be way behind me, get hit by a catapult, and then immediately after, like I don't even get a chance to get her up, she gets hit by another catapult.
Yeah. I don't agree. So I don't agree with everything. I don't agree stealth kills should cause durability damage. I think that's cheap.
Well, so much.
I feel like it cheats the player. And for the longest time, I didn't do the death kills. You know, where when you knock, if they're flat on the ground, you can just kill them. And I like the fact that sometimes they start morbing out. So you want to do the death. So it becomes a risk reward where it's like, do I take a little bit of durability to stop the plaga from spawning as they're morbid, or do I let them just stand up and like waste a bullet or two or whatever on them? That's okay in essence, but I actually stopped doing it even when they were just down, because you can kill them before, even if they're not morbid. If they just get knocked flat down, you can just do a kill.
Right.
And it takes away durability. Here's the thing. That just taught me to never, ever do that. Like, it just taught me that was a waste of fucking time. But like at the end of the game, if you have your knife, like all 5, like durability built up completely out, it's almost negligible what like what a downed kill will do on the main knife. So you can use it pretty liberally as long as you upgrade it, whatever. But I didn't realize that because the game taught me not to do that. The game taught me that I'm being punished for doing a kill animation, and you're being punished for doing stealth. So these are reasons these are things I don't agree with whatsoever.
And you already don't like stealth.
I don't like stealth, but like, why would you punish me for doing stealth? Like, why is there a punishment for sneaking up and killing an enemy silently? Why is that a punishment?
Yeah,
I think that is backwards game design. And there's the knife takes up inventory space like the demo of RE4 does, and then you can have multiple knives in there. And that's, I don't really know. I'm like here and there about that, but I think the ammo crafting was a waste of fucking time. All it does is take up more resources. The idea being that, oh, but now you can craft the ammo you want. I never had a problem getting the ammo I wanted in the original game, because the original game functioned basically like a Metroid. You kill enemies and you get an RNG of bullets for the weapons you own in small increments. Like,
right.
You know, it was never a problem like in the original game. So,
and I need that space for Bass.
Yeah, but you know, but that goes into other things I did really like. I liked having a little attaché case
charms.
I liked having little game modifiers like that, but I hated the fact that it was RNG on getting them. And it's seeded too to the game. So like the RNG is like pre-built into the game permanently. So like your copy of the game will have the same RNG pulls. Basically what it is like you're going to get the same pulls from, like, you know, using silver tokens every single time for that specific copy of the game you own. But if you get a different copy of the game, it'll be a different seed. So I don't like the fact that you need 3 tokens to get an RNG pull of an attaché case keychain. I think that's dumb. I love the expansion of the shooting gallery.
Yeah.
Love it. Think it's great. Think it's fantastic. But I hate the fact that like the reward is like kind of dumb. Or not dumb, but like the reward is like really annoying to get stuff out of.
Yeah, because otherwise you're going to be using spinels or spinels or whatever.
Yeah. I kind of like that spinels are like this tradable commodity now, but like the laser pointer is really cool, but like then you realize it doesn't work on any pistol like default anymore. Because in the original game, the laser was just on fucking everything,
right?
Except rifles. In this game, you don't get that. It's cool when you have it, but then it's like it's only on certain things. You can't attach it to a red 9. Yeah, it's so there's like there are you know the weapon, the ammo crafting is a solution to a problem that didn't exist. I don't agree with the RNG of the flinching. In the original game, if you shoot someone in the face with a gun, they will react. That does not happen in this game. No matter what you fucking do, you are not guaranteed to flinch, even with like a fully upgraded Red 9. Don't agree with that at all.
5 shots to the head with a Red 9 fully upgraded with the 1.5 damage. 5 shots to the head on one mob. No flinching, finally died. Not every, but I was averaging like 2 shots would kill a dude outright if they didn't turn into a Plagus, like if they didn't turn into the big Plagus head. And then this one random mob near the end of the game, like 5 shots to the face before he went down. No Plagus came out, nothing. I don't understand. I know that the point of the randomization of like damage is supposed to make it scarier, but god damn it, that's one of the best parts.
Thing is that they're trying to up the tension and scare factor by like never knowing if something's going to work. I don't agree with this from a gameplay design perspective,
right?
Because it's more frustrating than it is scary. Because in the original game, you can calculate your route through it. Like you see a mob oncoming, and you can literally sit there and pre-program in your head how you're going to solve this issue. Because you're going to run up to this guy right here, and you're going to stun him, and then you're going to do a roundhouse kick, which will AOE everyone around you. The roundhouse kick doesn't do anywhere near the amount of AOE. It is not a full 360 circumference like in the original game.
Yeah.
So this one, you don't know if that face shot's going to do it. You might take 2 shots. It might take 3 shots. You do a roundhouse kick, you know it's not going to hit someone behind you. Someone going up from behind you can still grab you, and then you have to hammer the buttons and wiggle the sticks out of it. So they're basically trying to make it a little more tense, a little more scary.
And it is,
and I don't agree with this at all, because like the idea is that like they don't want to give you too much power. Oh, the game would be too easy if we guaranteed a flinch every time, and that if your roundhouse kick always did stuff. And I'm like, but the original game was like that, and no one ever complained.
Right.
Again, you're solving problems that did not exist. And I think it's just a carryover from the RE2 remake thing with the RNG health on the zombies.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God this game's a lot more fun to engage with enemies with, especially because of the knife pairing mechanics and stuff, than the zombies were. But at the end of the day, like the idea that like, oh, it's more tense and scary to not know if you'll be able to like do a melee attack or whatever, because you get a guarantee melee off a perfect parry, and I love that. I really do love the perfect parry. But it's like they had their own solution on professional mode, where in professional mode you can't do late or mid parries. You have to do perfect parries. You only get perfect parries. Everything otherwise that you won't parry, you'll just miss, right? I'm like, there's your solution right there. If you're just worried about like, oh, people are just going to parry everything with their durability and they're never going to have a problem. Well, then just only make perfect parries. I don't know. To me, there was this weird idea of like, we don't want the player to feel too overpowered. Like, it's almost like we don't want the player to be too good right off the bat. And I'm like,
I do think that was kind of the developer's complaint about RE4, is that it was more action game than horror game. And they wanted this to be more horror game than action game.
Yeah, but fuck that whole idea.
and I get that, but
horror's scary once, and then it's not in a horror video game.
Yeah, I do think that like it should be less scary to be Leon, who is trained for this.
Yeah.
Than Leon as a cop in Raccoon City when things are happening like that. And also randomized damage for regular zombies, like actual zombies. Okay. I guess it's a rotting corpse. Maybe you didn't do as much damage to the brain as you think, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Randomized damage to a living, breathing thing that, yes, has a parasite, but like you shoot it in the brain, you're still ruining the thing's brain. It's still a living being. The reason why
there's some like cognitive narrative dissonance, Lunar Nerd, whatever. Which I feel is funny in this game, because the Lunar Nerd just almost becomes stands out more because the game does have its moments where it tries to be more grounded and realistic. And I'm like,
Right.
more grounded and realistic, this game would be about 5 minutes long, because in the very first house in the hunting lodge at the beginning, Leon confirms Ashley's there. That is the end of that Spanish countryside right there. In any real world scenario, that whole place is going up in flames very quickly.
And also, I like, even if it wasn't the president's daughter and he wasn't sending in a battalion, if the Spanish had people just going missing in a single area all the time, like the state police would have sent a big unit up there. Like somebody would, like, there, if we're gonna try and be more grounded, like there would have been a lot more people there. It feels like,
Yeah,
like it's hard to have just a cult. Wow, everybody from that village just disappeared. Better send someone to check on them. Like nobody has. It's 2005 and nobody has a fucking phone in that place. Like what? Wild.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like the more cartoonish and outlandish the original being is, kind of fits more, because the whole game is just fucking unbelievable to begin with. Right?
It did tell you to just turn your fucking brain off and enjoy it.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I can still do that with this. I do think it is fun to think of how ridiculous it would be in the real world for this to happen. Sort of how like zombies in the real world, like getting bit by a zombie in the real world, where you're not hemmed in by like, oh, there's a box here, I can't move. You know, like, yeah, zombies in and of it. I understand that zombies are a ridiculous idea. You know, like The Walking Dead ain't gonna happen, mostly because transmission via biting is the fucking like, it's terrible. Humans aren't meant for biting.
Yeah.
Like a dead thing can't bite hard enough, for one thing. Just like you can't break skin. I guess if the teeth are all shattered or whatever, you got to come up with a million other reasons why it works. Anyway, I do really love the remake. I think it further makes me want that Code Veronica remake.
Oh, absolutely.
I think they're doing a great job with the remakes. I do, you know, I have minor complaints about the remake. Like I said, you know, it's a nitpicky remake to be like, oh, I wish the Red 9 had a laser sight. All right.
But again, they wanted to fuck with perfection, so I feel like, look, you're the ones who decided to take a game everyone considered perfect and then remake it. So yeah, I'm gonna be nitpicky.
Yeah, you deserve all the nitpicking.
You asked for it, but but that's just you and me talking to people on a podcast. That is not you and me. Like, I need to go out and find who made these decisions and fucking like harass his ass off the internet. Like, bro, like, I think Onpo or whatever is the director. I'm never gonna fucking try to harass him or whatever. Like, why did you make these changes, you son of a bitch? Like, you know, you ruined McConnell. No, fuck off. Like, no, it's like they made a game very, you know, pretty quickly. You know, all things considered, after RE2 and 3 remake, they made a game pretty quickly. And they did a pretty damn good job. It's a 9.5 of game in my mind. And the nitpicks I have are nitpicks, and it's a luxury product. It is a luxury product made to entertain me, and it mostly did its job, even if it's not as good as the original. Whatever. There is no fucking reason on planet Earth for me to complain to the guy who directed the game or anyone on that development team. They did a good job. And even if the game was a total piece of shit, I still wouldn't go after anyone who made it.
Yeah, although I probably wouldn't buy the guy's next game.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what you do. You don't like this thing, then just don't buy the next thing. Jesus fucking Christ.
This does make me want Code Veronica to be the next one they go for. I have a feeling, given the choice between Code Veronica and like RE0, they would choose 0 just to make everyone mad.
I think they might combine. I think a thing they could do is maybe combine 0 and 1 into one remake. Because you think about it, I'm like, if 1 was remade again, right? But it was done in third-person shooter style, I don't think it would take that long to go through that whole mansion. Like, the movement and mobility of RE2 remake and RE4 remake kind of make running through that mansion pretty quick and easy. So maybe combine 1 and 2 to make a longer game or something. I don't know. I'm fucking.
Oh yeah, like here. 0 and 1. They could.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that. 0 and 1. Yeah.
I sort of want Code Veronica just because I want to go to Rockford Island.
Yeah.
Again, it's isolated. It's a spot that like you can do. I want that like Barry experience from, I think it's Revelation, where Barry shows up and he's actually prepared.
Yeah, Rev 2, yeah.
You know, I think that's another reason why I like Resident Evil 4 is like Leon shows up and he's actually somewhat prepared. You know, he's got like some gear.
Yeah.
He brought a fucking attaché case just in case, you know. I'm very happy they chose to stick with the attaché case, but in my mind, it seems like if you're modernizing it, maybe a backpack. It would have made more sense. Like, you know, he's just wearing a backpack,
right? Like Barry is in Rev 2. So
right, yeah. Any final thoughts on Remake or E3 being dead? Or
RE4 Remake's a great game. I think people will forget that. I think it's fantastic. I think it's just under the original game. I think RE4 Remake is the best Resident Evil game since Resident Evil 4. I think it's better than 5, 6, 7, and 8. I think it's better than 2 and 3 Remake. I think, you know, it's a fucking great game.
Great.
I don't think it is quite. I think it's just slightly off from the original, just ever so slightly. Not quite as good. Missing some things. Missing some creative sparks. Missing like some areas. A lot of areas that are not in it get replaced with boring shootouts. But it's still a great game.
I do think one positive is they well, I mean, I guess two positives. One, they made Luis more of a character. Like he has more substance. But two, I do think the game is scarier. Just like from its overall atmosphere, I think the atmosphere of the remake is scarier than the atmosphere.
I'm emotionally dead to scariness, but I will say they absolutely tried to make this a lot scarier.
I'm actually sort of bummed that they toned down the rain. I wish the rain would have stayed sort of fucked up.
You wanted that jizz rain to stay there?
Oh yeah. Just pour it on me. No, the reason is that it lowered visibility and kind of made it like a little bit scary. Like you couldn't see a person from 100 yards away. But maybe that would have annoyed me in the end. But I do sort of like it. The merchant was, I don't know. I don't know if I miss the goofy. Like the merchant's still goofy in this.
Yeah.
And it's fun, but like it feels like maybe it's nostalgia, but it feels like the original merchant was goofier and more.
Yeah. Well, here's things here's some food for thought. The merchant in RE4 Remake has more lines than Salazar and Sadler. The merchant.
I didn't think about that. That's
he has
crazy.
More lines of dialogue. He has more recorded lines of dialogue than Sadler or Salazar. That is one of my biggest nitpicks, is how hollow or just how vacant the villains are from this game, because there's no codec calls with them.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
You take and there's no like random cutscenes where Leon just runs into Salazar in the middle of the castle and they fucking like bitch at each other. He doesn't throw his knife at his hand, and shit like that. Like, you just don't. There's so many little moments like that missing. So you end up with the merchant having way more lines than your two main villains.
What did you think of the side quests? We're a little over time, but what did you think of the side quest thing?
They're pretty cool. I think there's a little too many blue medallions in Stab Rats. I wish more were like there's a big wolf, there's a big armor knight.
Yeah, you gotta run back and
I like the one where there's like deface, the Salazar family insignia in the throne room. Which basically you have to go there and there's a chicken and you take the eggs and you throw it at the fucking
Salazar's face.
Yeah. So which, by the way, people discovered, he actually dies if you throw a golden egg at him, because it's related to that quest line. So if you there's 2 golden eggs in the game, and if you keep one and you throw it at Salazar, you'll kill him.
What? I did not know this.
Yes.
And there's also a challenge for hitting an enemy with an egg.
Yeah.
Ha! That's cool. I'm gonna keep that in the back pocket
If you,
for next
because there's only 2 golden eggs, and if you throw one of the golden eggs at Salazar, you'll kill him. Although some have said, I think some said it's actually 70% damage, not 100%. But it's like, okay, we'll shoot him a couple times and throw an egg at him.
That's amazing.
It's either between 70 or 100% like damage to him with a golden egg.
Well, I'm liking all the secret stuff.
Hit him in the face. Yeah, there's great secrets. There's great stuff like that. Again, it's a great game.
Yeah,
it really is. I love the game. So yeah, I mean, if you ever feel like you need to voice your displeasure with an actor or developer, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, buy the biggest dildo you can find and fuck yourself with it.
Just go fuck yourself, man. Like, I'm all about, like, voicing why you don't like a product, but you don't need to go fucking harass the person who worked on it, for no fucking reason. Like, I'm all about the discourse, but if the people, the actors and the developers, whatever, they didn't ask for your fucking discourse, so don't go fucking giving it to them.
It's one of the major downsides of social media.
Yeah.
If you can find an upside to social media, you let me know someday.
Yeah, I'm all about it. Yeah, keep the discourse amongst yourselves, basically.
Yeah. As always, we've got some patrons to thank. If you're interested in becoming a patron at any level, please check out patreon.com/YoVideogames podcast. Due to the week was Mashari. Thank you, Mashari. And also apologies if I'm mispronouncing your name.
Mishari.
I think I am saying your name correct. Let me know though. And we've got producers for this episode are the Pink Hammer, the Schmidt One, Scrunami, Kuroi35, Hyper Viper 89, Ziggy Z, and Online Persona. Thank you, dudes, and we will catch you next time.